Deep in the archives of the Louvre, hidden away from the public eye due to its controversial nature, lies a painting dated late 1789. It is titled The Herald of the Artificial Sun. At first glance, it appears to be a standard depiction of the French Revolution chaos, smoke, and the liberation of prisoners. But if you look closer at the center of the canvas, the anomaly becomes impossible to ignore. Standing amidst the sans-culottes, surrounded by men with muskets and pikes, is a figure who does not belong. He is a man of East Asian descent, wearing a pristine navy blue blazer, a white dress shirt unbuttoned at the collar, and no wig. But the terrifying detail isn't his clothing. It is what he is holding in his raised right hand. It is a small rectangular slab of black glass and titanium, emitting a blindingly white, conical beam of light that cuts through the 18th century dungeon gloom. It is not a lantern. It is not a torch. It is clearly, undeniably, a smartphone. For decades, art historians dismissed this as a later forgery or a bizarre prank, until facial recognition software in 2024 matched the man in the 235-year-old painting to a passport photo from a passenger manifest that vanished from the face of the Earth on March 8, 2014. This is the story of the passenger from flight MH370 who didn't crash into the ocean, but fell through time into the heart of the French Revolution. The date is July 14, 1789. The air in Paris is heavy, vibrating with the roar of a city pushed to the breaking point. The Bastille, that towering symbol of royal tyranny, is under siege. We have read the history books. We know about the Governor de Launay, the cannon fire, and the bridge crashing down. But the official records were sanitized. They left out the discovery made by a splinter group of revolutionaries who, in the heat of the chaos, blew open a sealed door leading to a sub-basement level that appeared on no architectural blueprints. These men, covered in soot and blood, expected to find political dissidents or stockpiles of gunpowder. Instead, they found a man huddled in the corner of a damp, rat-infested stone cell, trembling not from the cold, but from a shock that the human mind is not equipped to handle. His name was Wei. Hours earlier, he had been sitting in seat 1 to C, sipping water and waiting for the breakfast service on a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The plane had hit turbulence, a violent, shuddering vibration that felt less like air pockets and more like the fabric of reality tearing apart. Then, silence. Absolute, crushing darkness. When woke up, he wasn't in the ocean. He was on the cold stone floor of a prison that smelled of centuries of rot. When the heavy oak door splinters open and the shouting men in tricorn hats and rags storm in, Wei reacts with the only tool he has on his person. He pulls his phone from his pocket. It is 2014 technology confronting 1789 brutality. He turns on the flashlight. The effect is instantaneous and devastating. To the revolutionaries, accustomed only to the flickering yellow warmth of tallow candles and oil lamps, this beam of pure, cold, white lead light is not technology. It is divinity. The beam cuts through the smoke of the Bastille like a sword from the heavens. The shouting stops. The violence pauses. Wei, confused and terrified, unable to speak a word of French, holds the device aloft like a shield. The mob does not attack him. They part. They fall back. They see him not as a confused time traveler, but as the angel of the lantern, a sign that God himself favors their revolution. Wei is escorted out of the prison not as a captive, but as a messiah. As he steps out into the blinding sunlight of the Parisian streets, the crowd erupts. But Wei isn't looking at the crowd. He is looking at the top right corner of his screen, no service. And next to it, the battery indicator, 68%. That number is the most terrifying countdown in human history. He realizes with a sinking heart that his life, his influence, and perhaps his survival is tethered to a lithium-ion battery that will never be charged again. He is trapped in a world where electricity is nothing more than a parlor trick involving static and glass spheres. In the weeks that follow, Wei is brought before the architects of the New World. He meets Maximilien Robespierre and Georges Dant. The language barrier is immense, but the phone speaks a universal language. Wei, realizing he cannot return home, decides he must do something. He knows history. He knows that the euphoria of 1789 will curdle into the bloodbath of the terror. He knows Robespierre, will eventually feed thousands to the guillotine. Desperate to warn them, to show them the consequences of extremism, he unlocks his phone. He has no internet, no Wikipedia, no translation apps. He only has his camera roll and his downloaded videos. He tries to show Robespierre a downloaded documentary about the 20th century images of mechanized warfare, nuclear explosions, and the devastation of total war. Wei points to the screen, shaking his head, miming death and horror. Trying to sigh. This is where the path of violence leads. Stop. But Robespierre, a man of cold logic and supreme arrogance, does not see a warning. He watches the tiny, glowing actors in the glass rectangle and sees power. He sees weapons that can level cities. He interprets the footage of mushroom clouds not as a cautionary tale, but as the ultimate manifestation of the Supreme Being's wrath. Wei thinks he is preaching peace. Robespierre thinks he is being shown the necessary tools to cleanse the Republic. The most critical and paradoxical interaction occurs in late 1790. A young, ambitious artillery officer from Corsica manages to gain an audience with the Man of Light. His name is Napoleon Bonaparte. Wei, by now, is haggard. His battery is at 12%. He is hoarding the power, only turning the screen on for seconds at a time. Napoleon is different from the politicians. He doesn't care about the divinity of the light. He is obsessed with the tactical details in the images. Wei shows him a saved video of a military parade in Beijing tanks. Precision marching, fighter jets screaming overhead. Napoleon is transfixed. He watches the discipline, the uniformity, the overwhelming projection of absolute authority. Historians have always wondered where Napoleon got the vision for the Grande Armée, a force so organized it seemingly sprang from nowhere. The truth is, he saw it on a 6-inch old screen in a dim room in Paris. He didn't see the future as something to avoid. He saw it as a blueprint. Wei's attempt to show the horrors of war inadvertently gave the greatest conqueror of the 19th century the inspiration to reshape Europe through iron and blood. The time traveler created the very monster he studied in school. As the months drag on, the battery enters the critical zone. 5%, 4%, the Jacobin begin to turn suspicious. Why does the angel's light grow dim? Has the favor of the heavens left them? Robespierre, paranoid and seeing enemies in every shadow, begins to suspect that Wei is not a divine messenger, but a fraud worse. A spy sent by the Austrians to mesmerize them with sorcery. Wei tries to ration the battery, but the cold Parisian winter saps the chemical potential of the cell. The end comes on a freezing night in January 1793. Just days before the king is executed, Wei is summoned to the National Convention to prove his power one last time. The hall is packed. The atmosphere is hostile. They demand the light. Wei pulls out the phone. He presses the side button. The Apple logo flashes on the screen, a final, ghostly glimmer of the 21st century. The crowd gasps. And then, the screen goes black. The spinning wheel stops. The device dies. Wei presses the button frantically, again and again. Nothing. A lifeless black slab. The silence in the room is heavy, suffocating. Robespierre stands up slowly. He declares that the magic was finite because it was a trick. He accuses Wei of being an agent of the counter-revolution, a charlatan using foreign trickery to distract the people from the true work of liberty. The mob, feeling betrayed by their idol, turns instantly. The angel is dragged away, screaming in a language no one understands, clutching a piece of dead technology that is now just a paper. Wei's trial is a farce. He is condemned as an Austrian spy and a practitioner of banned mesmerism. On the day of his execution, he is stripped of his strange synthetic clothes and forced into a rough tunic. He stands on the scaffold, looking out at a sea of faces that he had filmed, faces that he had tried to save. As the blade of the guillotine rushes down, his final thought is not of his family or his home, but of the irony. He had the sum of human knowledge in his pocket, yet he couldn't save himself from the ignorance of the past. He is buried in a mass grave, his body thrown in with hundreds of others. The phone, considered a cursed object, is tossed into the mud with him. The story of the Man of Light becomes a rumor, then a legend, and finally a myth. dismissed by serious historians as folklore born of revolutionary hysteria. The world moves on. Napoleon rises, conquers, and falls, using the strategies he glimpsed on a dying screen. The timeline heals itself, burying the paradox under layers of dirt and time. Fast forward to 2024. A major infrastructure project in Paris requires deep excavation near the site of the old revolutionary burial grounds. Archaeologists are brought in to supervise the removal of remains. During the sift, a graduate student notices something odd. Amidst the rusted buckles, bone fragments, and decaying leather, there is a small object that does not belong. It is encased in a calcified layer of mud and corrosion, but the shape is unmistakable. It is a smartphone case, made of non-degradable polymer. They carefully clean the artifact. The phone itself is destroyed, crushed by the weight of centuries and water damage. But inside the device, protected by the modern miracle of solid-state storage and a high-end waterproof casing, is a micro SD card. It shouldn't work. It should be corrupted. But after weeks of delicate restoration by data recovery specialists, they managed to mount the drive. The folder structure is familiar. They open the DCIM folder. The first few photos are mundane food in Kuala Lumpur, a selfie at the airport, and then the dates stop making sense. The timestamps glitch. The next photo is blurry, low light, grainy. It shows a man with a powdered wig and a tricolor cockade, looking at the camera with a mix of fear and awe. Facial recognition identifies him with 99% accuracy. Georges Danton. The next video file is shaky footage of the Place de la Revolution, shot from a high angle, showing the execution of Louis XVI in 4K resolution. The audio captures the roar of the crowd with terrifying clarity. The final file on the card is a 10-second video recorded in selfie mode. It is Wei, looking gaunt, dirty, with a beard he didn't have in the airport photos. He is huddled in a dark cell. He speaks to the camera, his voice cracking. "My name is Wei. I was on flight MH370. If anyone finds this, I tried to change it. I showed them the future so they wouldn't make the same mistakes, but they didn't see the warnings. They only saw the weapon. I think I made it worse." The video cuts out. The file ends. The paradox is complete. We have the physical proof of a time loop that defies physics. The authorities suppressed the finding, classifying it as a national security issue. But the leaked report confirms the impossible. MH370 didn't crash. It landed in the past, and the modern world we live in today, with its specific wars, its specific borders, and its history shaped by the Napoleonic era, might only exist because a man with a dying iPhone accidentally taught the past how to conquer the future. This story challenges everything we know about time, history, and the fate of MH370. Do you think it's possible that missing planes or ships are actually slipping through cracks in reality? Or is this just an elaborate theory to explain the unexplainable? I want to hear your theories in the comments below. Could you survive in 1789 with only your smartphone? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Bastille Paradox, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We upload documentaries on the strange and the unexplained every week, and you won't want to miss the next investigation. Hit the like button to help this video break through the algorithm, and share it with a friend who loves historical mysteries.